Welcome to the Business Growth Podcast. Today I'm here with Tim, the Chief Growth Officer of MBE CPAs. Welcome to the show, Tim.
Oh, thank you. It's great to be here.
So tell us a bit more, what do you guys do?
So, we are sort of what you think of a public accounting firm should be. So, we do tax, we do audit, we do outsourced accounting. We're also a little unusual in that we also do outsourced HR and recruiting. We do payroll. We actually own a marketing agency. We do wealth management, so think both individual and institutional. And then a couple other things as relates to business brokerage, buying and selling businesses.
Wow, it sounds like quite a lot of different things. So what led you guys to doing so many different things and not more focusing on just like a couple of areas?
Yeah, so I think a lot of it predates my tenure here, but a lot of it I think is based on the fact that there was just opportunities that were seen in the marketplace to try to do something better. Not a lot of outsourced HR organizations, 10, 15 years ago. It was sort of a cutting edge idea, so they jumped in and did it. Payroll, a lot of firms do payroll, so that was kind of part and parcel and a lot of requests from clients that were saying, "Hey, can you guys help us or do our payroll?" Obviously, wealth management, the same goes hand in hand. When you start talking about taxes, it's a natural to try to blend the two together.
Yeah, got it. Okay. And then I know when we spoke previously, you said you guys have been doing a lot of mergers, 10 in the last 18 months. So it's almost
Yeah,
a merger every like 2 months. So yeah, what's involved with that, and how did you guys end up deciding on which firms to merge
sure.
with?
Yeah, so it's sort of similar. I think there was an unmet need in the marketplace a little bit. Most of the firms that we've merged in have been on the smaller side. We're not talking, a large 5, $10 million firm coming in. They've all been a little bit smaller, 1 to 8, 1 to 10 people coming on board. And what it was is we're trying to look at it and say, we're going to be an alternative to the individual who maybe has no other choice but to either go to private equity or close his or her doors because they don't have anyone on staff who's in a position to take on ownership and leadership. So we kind of come in, and a lot of it's been through personal relationships that our partners have with others, as well as myself with others. And it's really just a conversation about we can help you. If you're struggling, there's one firm we merged in that just said, we have such a hard time finding staff, we can help with that, right? And so it was just a matter of giving them an opportunity to continue to do what they do. They always come on board depending on, their age and other factors. Depends on how long they stick around. We haven't had any that kind of bail on us yet, but for the most part, they come. They learn. They help. Build us and our bench strength and our depth and breadth of services and expertise, and it's been a win-win. And part of it is just helping us grow as well.
Right. Okay. And what are some of the key factors that you look for in these firms to assess should we merge with them or not, slash, is this a good deal or not?
Right. So we go down a couple of different paths. The first path as we start talking to them is, do they fit culturally? Do they think like we do to a degree? Do they do things similar to the way we do things? Do they have an outlook on the future, on and where they're going and what the vision might look like? And then from there, it gets a little bit deeper into, do they share, hopefully maybe share tech stack with us, that we don't have as much difference between what they're using and what we're using, so conversion is easier. Do they have a good mix of individual and entity tax? Do they do audit? Do they do outsource? Do they have a wealth management branch? So there's a lot that goes into that. And then the other sort of, I'll call semi-divergent is, are they nothing like us in terms of what they offer? Culturally, they have to be similar, but what they offer, is this an opportunity for us to maybe get into a different industry that we've not been in before, or to have some specialty audit or specialty tax services that maybe we haven't provided in the past? So that, is it an opportunity for us to diversify and grow our capabilities?
Right. Okay. And then do you have like a team that's dedicated to acquiring these different firms? Because doing it like about one every 2 months, it seems very quick. Or like, how are you guys able to turn over this so
Oh,
quickly?
you're asking me the tough question. The staff here is going to hate me for saying this. So um, I do a lot of the what I'll say the finders. right? So I go out and I start to identify potential firms that we think we should approach, as do some of our other partners, our managing partner specifically. But it's obviously built on relationships at some point. So I might identify a firm, I'll reach out to them. If they say yes, we'd have a conversation. I'll end up going then and having sort of what I call that screening interview. If you think about the talent acquisition recruiting world, so I ask questions about number of individual tax returns, how many entity tax returns, what does your technology look like? Are you dedicated to specific industries? We might even get into age of ownership. How many owners and the age? How long do they want to stay in? Are they looking just to basically sell and get out, which is usually a no-go for us? And then it's just a matter of from there, I look at it and we talk a lot about how they're treating their employees, what kind of how they chase clients, all that kind of stuff. And then I'll make a determination and say, yeah, I think this is a firm we should probably talk to a little bit deeper. I let our managing partner know. I bring him in, and he hops on a separate phone call at some point. He does sort of like I'll call due diligence light, so he's kind of getting into some other questions and talking about what they see the future state being and what they're looking for. And then it's a matter of, if this sounds good to you, here's who we are. If it sounds good, let us know, think about it, let us know, and then we'll go forward. And then if they say, yeah, I think we'd like to have a deeper conversation, then we get another partner involved, usually along with our managing partner. They start putting in place the NDA. They start talking a little bit more financials, and then eventually it gets to the point where there's a letter of intent. And once that's
Hmm.
signed, we have a team internally. There's probably about 25 people that get involved at some level, whether it's tax director, individual tax director, operations team, and we start going down the process. It does cause a little bit of stress when it's short time, but we hope that in the long run, it's worth it for everyone.
Yeah, yeah, got it. Yeah, I imagine there's a lot of different moving pieces. And then so talk me through. So let's say you get a firm, you've now merged with them. What's usually the first few things that you do after you've merged with that firm?
So, obviously, ahead of time, we're talking about conversion of systems. We're talking about HR issues, whether it's employability, salary, you name it. Um, Once they're on board, there's a lot of training that goes involved. So we have a learning and development department that goes in and starts getting up to speed on our tech and our systems, our policies, our procedures, and then it's ongoing. Once they come on, I mean, it probably takes at least a year to get them fully integrated, because they got to learn our systems, they got to learn the way we do things. And honestly, if they have a better way of doing it, we're not totally set in our ways. That if we look at it and say, boy, your guys' way makes a lot more sense, we might just actually just adopt that and put that out firm wide.
Hmm. Right.
Yeah, I mean it's an involved process, as you can imagine. If you're, on Wednesday you're sitting in XYZ firm, and on Thursday all of a sudden it's announced that XYZ is part of MBE, you got a lot of questions, a lot of stress, and then if you get on board and you're like, hey, this sounds good, I'm sticking, I'd like to work with MBE, we'll see where this goes. There's just so much to learn in terms of processes and people and who,
Mm.
where to go for help and all that good stuff. So we like to think that it's probably a good year before we feel like they're fully or close to fully integrated.
Right. Okay. And what would you say some of the main systems or things that you implement into these acquired firms that really make a big difference in terms of how they're going?
Sure. So we have our own ERP system that we've developed. It's called Practice ERP, and we use that as our practice management tool. But it also comes through for client billing, time entry. There's a CRM system built in. There's project management. So I think that's what we can bring to them is some clarity in terms of how to run the practice. We also bring a support because we have operations teams that are fully charged with helping run and operate the firm. They're not necessarily external facing. And then what we bring to bear is sort of our affiliated companies, right? So if it's a smaller firm that says we don't have wealth management, but there could be an opportunity in our marketplace if we could do that, or we don't do payroll, or we don't have HR consulting, we bring that to them, and then all of a sudden that's another service that we can provide to their clients and to the marketplace in general. And then it's just a matter of the deeper and broader we get in our knowledge because of this collective brain trust of the 225 plus people in the firm, I think just makes it a little bit nicer to be able to learn quicker and to be able to solve problems for clients.
Yeah, having proper like systems and CRMs makes such a massive difference. And from a few accounting firms that I've worked with, I've seen some of them don't always have the best systems. They're still on spreadsheets and stuff, and it just makes everything a lot more difficult.
Yeah,
A-
absolutely.
And then, so what are some of the goals for MBE for the next couple of months that you guys are working towards?
Yeah, so I mean, apart from getting the three firms that we've been in process with in terms of merger and acquisition, to get them onboarded and get systems in place as quickly as possible before tax season is priority one for me and for the firm in general. But also, we're looking at growth, right? Any firm, if you're not growing, you're probably, to put it bluntly, you're dying. So we want to get a growth, and part of my role has been to try to formalize how we're going to go to market, how we're going to go after that growth, so that we're not just throwing things up at the wall, or we're not doing sort of this shotgun approach of trying anything and everything. We're trying to focus, say, here's the playbook. These are the things we do to build out an industry niche or niche, however you want to say it. And then we take that and we want to make sure we can implement it and replicate it across all the industries that we're in. So growth is the big thing. Obviously, mergers and acquisitions and integration is part of that. And then it's always just operational efficiency. How do we do things better? How can we make it
Mm.
quicker? How can we make it less friction to get things done?
Right. Okay. And when you say growth, what does growth look like for you guys? Is that just like getting more clients, doing more mergers and acquisitions, or what does that look like?
Probably all of the above. So, I mean, obviously, we want to grow through organic. We want to grow through new clients, and we want to grow through expansion of services offered to current clients. And then we also want to grow potentially if it's a geographical thing or it's a service line or a technical specialty service. We want to grow through mergers and acquisitions. I think we're trying to be pretty intentional about it. It's not like we're going to go buy everything we can, because that's not us. It's more like what makes sense. We have three offices in the Phoenix area, so there might be an opportunity where, hey, there's another firm in the greater Phoenix area that might make sense that we can kind of fold in. Or, hey, we're
Hmm.
in the South Central or Southern Wisconsin area. Is there a firm that might make sense just to fold in? And then, depending on what happens and what we can find, there might be a firm in New York, Boston, Atlanta, Charlotte, St. Louis, Chicago. We say, hey, this makes sense. We don't have any other firm locations there and people, but it makes sense that it would get us into a market that we're interested in. So, those are always on the table as well.
Right. Okay. And then, so obviously there's like client acquisition that's involved as well. What does like client acquisition look like for the business?
Um, I'll push back a little bit. Can you kind of define what it is you're looking for a little bit more? I mean, client acquisition for us is always ongoing. We
Hmm.
have we have we've built out for each of our industries an ideal client profile, right? Which is step number one. So we
Right.
got to make sure that we're focused at who we're chasing after, who we're trying to talk to, who we're trying to get in front of makes sense, and then from there we build out like, okay, where can we find these people? I'm a big stickler on we have to be where our prospects and clients are, right? So
Hmm.
is there an organization, either national or local or regional, that we need to belong to? Is there an event that we need to go to and be seen at? Or is it more about there are topics we need to talk about and we push it out through social media and our blogs and through email marketing and everything else? And the answer is all of the above. But we try to look at it and say what makes the most sense, and what do we have experience in. We're not going to chase after in an industry that we don't have any experience in. That to me is uh, that's a little bit harder push to get to, where it's like we do a lot with manufacturing, we do a lot in the agriculture agribusiness space, a lot in audiology, construction, and hospitality, both hotels and restaurants. So let's go there, right? That's step number one. If someone comes forth, a partner or director of the firm or a manager for that matter comes and says, look, I really like this industry. I've got some experience in it. My in-laws, my best friend, my cousins, are in this industry. I learned a lot about it, and I think that it makes sense that we can serve these. And then we start digging into it and looking at it and saying, okay, what's the size of the market? What kind of market share do we think, in a gut feeling, do we think we can get? What do we think is the average size of that client? And then, we make that decision, and then if it's appropriate, we go forward.
Right. And then do you guys do much online marketing as well? I know previously you said you guys have a marketing agency.
Yeah, so we own our own marketing agency, which is nice, but they also work with other clients. We're actually one of their clients. We draw a pretty hard, solid line and an arm's length relationship. So we don't share information, we don't share systems. We own them, but they also work with other accounting firms that we don't have any insight into. But
Yeah.
in terms of online, we do a lot in the online space, whether it's your standard Google or LinkedIn or Facebook ads. We do a lot in terms of social media where we're putting out thought leadership, blog posts and such. And then, as we get to an event, we might geofence something so that, we're getting undivided attention within a certain area of that event.
Nice. That's pretty cool. And then have you found much traction from doing these online marketing
Ye-
campaigns?
Yeah, so I was actually just looking at some things today. So I think we've been averaging about 12 to 15 client opportunities a month coming in via, someone who found us on the web through an ad, or they found us through Google. I have yet not gone through the close rate on those, but we're getting 10 to 15 opportunities, which again is not enough to fill our pipeline, but it's a good start. And then we use other things: direct marketing, traditional marketing, networking, referral source, all that kind of stuff. So we've had some pretty good success, and it's getting better. I think
Yeah.
the more we've been doing, I don't know exactly how long we've been doing it. I've been with the firm a year and a half. We've certainly been doing it, for a year and a half, 2 years, probably 2.5 years, if not more. But we're starting to get some traction because we're starting to focus better, instead of just throwing
Mm.
it out there and saying, hey, the keywords are tax accountant near me. We may not want some of those clients that find that, well, but it might be more like uh, audiology CPA or audiology accounting, for you as an example. That's been given some good um, insight and some good opportunities for us.
Nice. Yeah, yeah. I find that with ads, it is a lot of testing as well. You're going to go through a lot of different ads that don't work, but you just need to find one ad and one creative and one targeting that does work. And then it's just
Hmm.
a matter of just dialing, like just bumping up the budget, and then it is really going to blow up.
Right, and that's sort of what I've been doing the last year and a half on even a grander scale of what sort of tactic works, right? Not just the digital side, but are we getting any traction with emails? We're A/B testing subject lines and all that stuff, and
Mm.
and time of day and all that kind of stuff, trying to figure out what makes the most sense. And we're far from perfect, but we're starting to dial it in a little bit, to know that there are certain things we can talk about, and there's certain things that are resonating. Certainly in the state of Wisconsin, where we're headquartered, but also in some of the other states that we're in. But being able to say,
Mm.
okay, these are the topics that are really starting to resonate with some small to medium-sized business owners, or CFOs, COOs, HR directors. So these are the things that, and we're starting to hone in on those a little bit more.
Yeah, yeah. Ads are fascinating. It's just,
Yeah.
yeah, so
Well,
fascinating.
there's
Yeah.
just way too much for this old man's brain sometime to comprehend. So I'm excited. I'm happy that we have a dedicated marketing agency. We've got, I don't know, 8 to 10 people there that then can help me and have such great experiences and insights, so that I'm not flying blind, because there's just so much that goes on in this world of growth.
Oh yeah.
And that's a
Yeah.
very generic term, but there's so much that goes on that sometimes it's hard to keep it all straight, and being able to have other people that can help you keep it straight or take things off your plate is invaluable.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. There's a lot of different stuff that's involved with it. Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I know we're starting to run out of time here, so let's finish on what are some of the other things that you guys are working on that's maybe like not working as well as what you would like, or that you're trying to improve on at the moment.
Yeah, so we're trying to hone in on even better practice management and firm management tools and operations. I think trying to find better ways to communicate, better ways to have other people or everybody within the firm have a view into the system and into the data that's there, depending on need. And we struggle with that. I think we've struggled with it a long time. I think we're not unusual. I think other firms struggle as well. But we're trying to find, what is a better way to make sure that everyone can get on the same page, and that we're not building things in a silo, and that we're not playing the us versus them in terms of our office location versus their office location. We are truly one firm, and we're trying to move that way. But the communication and the tools that are out there, I think, are one of the areas that maybe we're not moving as quickly as we'd like, and we're not having as much success as we would like.
Yeah, gotcha. Yeah, yeah. And I see that as well. And it's like usually and you have like two softwares and then the two softwares don't communicate with each other as well. And then it just adds a lot of extra admin work.
Absolutely. And we're trying to get to the point where we can have sort of, lack of a better word, seamless, right, between the software and between the systems, so that there's none of those glitches, and we don't have to spend time administratively, finding the workaround or find the manual way to do things. We'd like to automate as quickly as possible and as much as possible.
Oh yeah, yeah, 100%. Well, it's been great having you on the show. We could keep going the whole day. It's really interesting, all the stuff you guys are working on. Where can people go to find out a little bit more about you and what you guys do?
Sure. So obviously, I'm on LinkedIn myself. So if they're looking for me personally, you can find me at Timothy Allen. I think it's backwards. So when you go to LinkedIn, it's linkedin.com/Allen Timothy. If you want to know more about MBE, you can go to mbe.cpa, and that'll take you to our homepage and our website. There's a lot of good information on there. And then obviously, if you're one of those scrollers on Facebook or Instagram, we're there as well under MBE CPAs.
All right, awesome. Well, I'll include those links in the show notes below. I appreciate you coming on. You guys have been listening to the Business Growth Podcast. Until next time, keep growing.